In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can make an insanely cool and hypey DJ intro like this.
You lucky people!
Let's get into the breakdown of how we make a really cool DJ intro. First thing you want to do is find the cool sample. That's always point number one. So right here, what I did is I got a sample from one of my favourite TV shows. And what you want to do when you start the intro, you want to keep it all spacey and all over the place and make sure everyone's sort of like hearing it, but it's not too prominent straight away. So the way to do that is to use loads of effects on it. As you can see, I've got a general delay on it to make it always delayed, but I've also got a secondary delay, big reverb, an auto filter on it, and a utility on it to keep the gain at a certain point. And you want to make sure every time that you're automating it so that everything is opening up and widening, so everything's getting bigger and louder, but it starts off quite condensed. What you want to do second is make sure you have a really big sound that people can hear in between the sample, and I went for a big brass sound that I found on Splice. You can hear how much reverb and delay I've put on that deliberately at the start to keep it all over the place and spaced out. I also added a compressor with a sidechain of the sample to the brass sound just to make sure that the sample was the thing always coming over the top, especially once we start layering in. So as you can see, I built out the sample and brass sound over time and started having the two together constantly as the filters were all opening up and the automation was kicking in. Once I started going full force with it, I thought you have to add a string for the tension. Strings add so much tension to tracks, so I used this string here. Reverbs, sidechains, all that good production stuff on it to make it sound correct. I then chose a really hypey sample, and in this case I took a bit of from the track Higher State of Consciousness and put that in. That's that real like driving hook that everybody recognises. And you can see there on the left the filter on that track is opening up, bringing in the sound and making it sound like it's getting closer to you. I just wanted a sample from that track, so I needed to also still pick the track that I wanted to drop into to kick the set off. And in this case I used my own track, Charcoal, the first song I ever made. So what I did is I started to bring that in about here, and then obviously I built the drop up to it, and then I drop in the song just as it was. Didn't change anything about it, just cut out a little bit and then drop it in as normal, and then that's where we drive the set on from. To bring that song in, we're trying to match it with the Higher State of Consciousness sample, and there gets a lot of messy notes all over the place. So the way to keep people on track is to use a kick drum and a cymbal that's completely new that you've added to this project, and tell people where the beat is. So in this case here, you can see I've got a kick on the second track here that's every other beat, and then it really kicks in and hitting on every beat, and you can see here I've got a hi-hat as well. Got a really strong kick and a really strong hi-hat that's telling people where the beat is. I've done some processing on the hi-hat using a shaper box just to cut the tail of the hat off so the thing isn't too long. But again, I got a reverb on it, another delay, a good EQ. So with that kick and hi-hat in place, I'm able to bring in my track underneath, keeping it in time, and also I start to half the loop on the consciousness sample. Halving the loop, it's like what you do in DJ sets and you see big DJs doing. Halving the loop constantly builds tension and makes it sound like it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So that's what I did here. Wouldn't be a build up without a riser and some uplifters and stuff. So they're just effects I found from Splice. Throw those in, quick and dirty, and build them up. Again, on these uplifters and risers, standard EQ, standard reverbs, bit of sidechain, and yeah, just bring them in slowly like you would on a normal track. Pretty simple, didn't think too much about it, and yeah, just make sure it sounds good.
You lucky people!
It says you lucky people, and then it drops. It's just that little nod to the fact that it's been a reworked intro. And then intermittently throughout the main build-up, where it starts to get really hypey, I've used effects. In this case, they're basically just cool lasers that I found on Splice. Put some delay on them, put some sidechain on them, make them bounce all over the place. I used ping pong here to sort of give that stereo sound left and right. Now, what you can't forget to do, you can't neglect the low end, even in an intro like this. So what I did, through the initial build-up, underneath the brass, I had a really low sub bass. That sub bass was playing every other beat and was sidechained from the brass sound so that it didn't get in the way, but again it gives you that low end and makes it feel really deep and people can hear it. Just a bit of sidechain on that as well to make sure it's bouncing out of the way. In terms of things added, there's not a lot to this project. As you can see, that is the entire project. Just making sure you mix the things correctly and use sidechains correctly just to make sure stuff sits in the right place. With intros, it's not so much about producing a really good piece of music, it's just about making something hypey that people can get behind when you're starting a set or a live stream like I do. So you want to make sure you're always moving forward, and the way to keep moving forward is just to keep adding stuff and not think too much about it. quick and dirty, get it done, and put stuff in so you're not stumping your own creativity. The last thing I needed to do after I'd made the project, because it was so simple, is just do some quick mastering on it, add a quick mastering chain to it, and make sure it was club level and sound level, make sure the LUFs were up and all that sort of stuff. By no means am I a mastering engineer or a mixing engineer, this is just how I learned to do it from courses that I've taken and seen. So I did a quick master on it, and this is sort of what it looked like. As you can see, I've got an EQ cutting out mid and the side at certain points. Then we have an audio effect rack, which is basically giving it the track the realness and making it sound real. We've got a short reverb, long reverb. Then we've got a distortion, which you can hear a lot in headphones, but over big speakers, it just gives a little bit of grit to it, makes it sound more real. We've also got a compressor that's working really, really fast to pump the sound, gives it some real drive. We've also got another compressor on it, which just gave it that little bit of extra sound, because when I was looking at the waves, we could have gone a little bit louder, so I did. I've then got Ableton Enhance in there, which just boosts the highs and a little bit of the mids, makes it sound a bit more light, bit of air to it. Then we've got FabFilter Satin on it, which is essentially just loads of multi-chain saturation, making it sound big and wide, and then I just chucked a limiter on the end, bumped up the gain so it was good and loud, and that's all I did. I didn't spend too long on it, like I said, I just threw this mastering chain together really quickly. And that shaper box on the end there was just to see the waves in real time, but it doesn't do anything in terms of the actual chain. So a few other things to note is obviously I didn't bounce anything to audio, I did all the mastering and mixing in one project because I wanted to keep moving, like I said, and just keep the process flowing. I didn't bother with labeling, didn't bother with colouring, anything. The project's a bit gritty and dirty. I think I literally made it in 2 hours. The best part about this sort of thing is you can make it so unique and do your own thing with it, which is what I've done here. And so you really should give it a go if you're a DJ. You want to make your sets a really interesting start. Even if you're not playing massive gigs, just for yourself, they're really fun to make. The original sample I just ripped from a YouTube clip. It is that simple. And the other stuff I got from Splice, plus my own song. The cymbal is a simple 909 kit which comes with Ableton, and I think for this project the kick I used is actually the kick from the charcoal track, because then I knew it would sit perfectly with the track I'm trying to bring in. But it doesn't necessarily need to be in the case, you just need to find a kick that's nice and punchy. And that really is the entire project. Very simple, but can be really effective and a really interesting way to start a set. So let me know what you guys think down below. Leave any comments, any questions you might have, and I will help you out and try to get back to you. And if people want me to do more intros or more breakdowns of other projects, do let me know. This is my first sort of Ableton breakdown, so I'm still figuring it out. Let me know what you guys think down below. Thank you for watching, and check out the other content.
You lucky people.